came with a kind of prepared remarks, but I decided to scrap them. I don't know. So my remarks are going to be
Sisters inside.
Información del nudo. Johnny Stevens, what's going on over here? I thought this was a day parade or something like that. And what's going on?
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. It's a Korean Harvest Day. And tens of thousands of people were marching, youth and young community folks. And we were holding a rally at the same time that dealing with Korea in another aspect of demanding that the U.S. end the attacks on Korea and stop wars in Afghanistan. We're demanding that the U.S. bring massive aid to Puerto Rico, to the Caribbean, to Virgin Islands now, and take that money away from the Pentagon. And we have like many groups here. Some of them is Korean activists, some of them is Arab activists, Puerto Rican activists, African students, workers, APW unions. We all gather here today to have a unified rally and a march to raise these very dire issues of what the United States government is doing, what FEMA is doing, like what they did in Katrina, what the Red Cross is doing, and what is needed is a people power movement. It will take us to rush to the aid of the people of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. And a lot of them now has been forced to come here by the tens of thousands. So they're going to need housing, they're going to need jobs, their children are going to have to go to school, they're going to need Medicare. So we're going to have to get very busy about fathering our solidarity with those workers, students, and those people fighting for their right to self-determination from all the colonialist power, whether it be the U.S. colonialists in Puerto Rico, whether it be Virgin Islands, whether it be the Dutch, whether it be the British, all of them are colonialists and attacking people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John.
All right.
Some people know this one. Ready? occupation. Not for war and occupation. All right, so we're a bit warmed up. I'd like to introduce Johnny Stevens with Labor Against Racist Terror to kick it off. Johnny, could you please come to the front?
Okay.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. I was a part of the People Power campaign for the Katrina Rita struggle. We understand that with 1,336,000 people were forced removed by FEMA, by the Red Cross, by the Army Corps of Engineers, much like what's happening in Puerto Rico, much like what's happening in St. Vincent right now, with these corporate bands of thieves from Britain calling themselves the British Isles, France, the French Caribbean. What the hell is that? These are the thieves that are attacking the workers. Millions of workers are being displaced, like what happened in New Orleans. And now we got an urgent issue of people who are being displaced, of tens of thousands in Puerto Rico. People who are being placed in Virgin Islands, they are coming here. They need housing. They need jobs. They need to be integrated into school. They need our solidarity for this terrorist act that they have been put through. For who? The bankers, city corps, the multinational corporation in Wall Street. And I will say one final thing about these 1.4 million workers who are being displaced. These service workers, these tourist workers. A lot of these workers are in unions, like 32BJ in Puerto Rico, but a lot of them is ununionized, and they cater to the rich corporation laying on the beach. They have been displaced forever, forever. We as workers have to stand united with these people. And finally, FEMA. What is FEMA? FEMA was created for nuclear fallout in the bunker. For the rich, 1%, 10%, now 1%. They wanted to save their lives, not lives. 50 or 60% of their budget go to military bunkers to save them in case there be a nuclear attack. At the same path that FEMA did in Katrina River. I said the workers of the world must unite. When Katrina happened, it was us that went to the workers. We must march again to all those affected by the U.S. occupation and blockade, like Cuba. This is a goddamn blockade on the whole Caribbean, keeping all the services that you sent out, like Cuba. Save the people, forward with the struggle.
What do we do? Stand up, fight back. When workers' rights are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. What do we do? Stand up, fight back. What do we do? Yeah, I think I can do that. All right, we gotta take my back off. Hi, good afternoon. As we all know, we have U.S. imperialist wars going on endlessly all around the world. We also have U.S. imperialist wars going on endlessly right here at home. This country has been fighting a war since before its inception, a war against black people, a war against brown people. And a lot of those people who stood up and resisted are inside of U.S. prisons. And they are U.S. political prisoners and prisoners of war. And that is what Jericho does. We were founded 20 years ago by 2 former and 1 current political prisoner, and we have been doing this work ever since. Now, I don't know how many people here know about our brother Herman Bell, who was brutally beaten by CEOs on September 5th. We have some good news about Herman. He was just moved to Chewongung Correctional Facility, as they call it, Chewongung Prison, and the charges against him have been dropped. He is in general population as of yesterday. I have a letter from him, so I just think I'll read that because we don't have much time. He wrote this before he got this news, before he was moved. He says, "My dear brothers and sisters, thank you for the outpouring of cards, letters, healing love and energy that you sent me in response to the unprovoked brutal assault on me by New York State prison guards at Comstock, New York. A vicious slap aside the head from behind and shoved to the ground. I protected myself as best I could. I sustained multiple kicks punches to the face and eyes, repeated head slams into concrete, and 2 cracked ribs. Bring them all home now. We are not having it anymore. Our political prisoners have sacrificed their whole lives for us. We have people who have been in prison since 1963, Rochelle McGee. We have people who have been in prison since the early 70s. What was their crime? Defending their communities, standing up for their people. That was their crime. And that is not a crime. That is a human right. We all have the right to defend ourselves, and we have the right to defend our communities, and this government cannot take that away from us.
It is right to rebel, USA, go to hell. It is right to rebel, USA, go to hell. Let's give a warm and militant welcome to Nick Modern of NoDrones.com.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to be very brief. We have here today 2 models of the MQ-9 Reaper drone. The real one is 5 times bigger than these, and these are being used right now to attack in at least 8 countries in the Middle East, and now we find out that the U.S. is operating special forces in Niger in Africa. Today is a very special day as far as drone warfare is concerned, because the first U.S. drone attack was launched today, 16 years ago, in Afghanistan to assassinate Mullah Omar. The drone typically missed its target, killed his bodyguard, and now we have at least 10,000 people killed by U.S. drones in the last 16 years. No person has gone to trial. All people have been totally disrespected as far as international law, common decency, and any sense of justice that might exist. I'm a veteran of the U.S. Navy, and I know how hard it is to refuse orders, to not cooperate. At the same time, there are Nuremberg principles that call on people not to cooperate with illegal orders, immoral orders, unjust orders. So I'll say finally, please plan to reach out to your sisters and brothers in the military and urge them not to cooperate with these wars and these drone attacks. Thank you.
In Ukraine. We have one person here who's been focusing a lot on keeping the solidarity alive between the movement here and our anti-fascist fighters in Ukraine. It's my pleasure to introduce Greg Butterfield with Solidarity with Novorossiya and anti-fascists in Ukraine. Thank you, Greg.
Sisters and brothers, while Trump is waving around his white supremacist saber, rattling it at countries all over the world, and while the Democrats and the establishment media here are trying to convince everyone that Russia is responsible for Trump, people could be forgiven for not realizing that there's a U.S. proxy war going on right now on Russia's western border. 2 nights ago, the armed forces of Ukraine sent 1,000 shells crashing into the breakaway republics of Donetsk and Lugansk in the Donbass region bordering Russia. Unfortunately, this is not an uncommon occurrence. Despite an international ceasefire agreement, the Ukrainian regime routinely bombs schools, houses, hospitals, and vital public utilities in the region. The U.S., under President Obama and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, helped to install the current Ukrainian government in a violent coup, as Terrence said, in 2014. Today, both Republicans and Democrats in Congress are pushing for direct U.S. arming of this regime, despite the fact that the House of Representatives went on record in 2015 saying that the government and military in Ukraine is full of neo-Nazis. It also might surprise New Yorkers to learn that last week 200 members of the New York National Guard deployed to Ukraine to train these same fascist troops. Have we heard about it from the Democrats who run the city and the state government? Hell no.
It's not enough to say that we are in a marginalized community, or I'm a marginalized person. A lot of the struggles that we've been talking about this afternoon have people that in marginalized circumstances. And they still work with their oppressors. They still work with the imperialist regime. So it's okay to reach out to those people, but when they bite your hand, that's it. And I'm just going to close my remarks and say, when black and brown are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When black and brown are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. What do we do? Stand up, fight back. What do we do? Stand up, fight back.
My name is John. I'm a member of the Teamsters and also with San Medun Palestinian Prisoner Solidarity Network. For 16 years, the United States has plunged their military hardware down the throats of the Afghan people. For 3 administrations, they have tried to pacify and suffocate the people of Afghanistan by treating them as lab rats in their imperialist experiments. In April of this year, the United States used Nangarhar province as a testing ground for the largest non-nuclear bomb, the Moab bomb. With a mile-length radius and a blast of 11 tons of TNT, it is still not able to inhibit the tradition of Afghanistan resistance to Western imperialism. This war in Afghanistan has come to symbolize the crisis of U.S. hegemony. The U.S.'s influence and impunity to wreak havoc around the world has come into decline. But like any imperialist power in decline, it will exert any means necessary to maintain that hegemony. This hegemony goes far beyond the borders of Afghanistan and extends to their allies in Tel Aviv, who have taken the so-called war on terror as an opportunity to heighten the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people and their attempts to wipe out the Palestinian resistance movement once and for all. The Israelis have made a good use of their experience in suppressing and demoralizing the Palestinian people by selling their expertise to law enforcement across the United States. The Baltimore Police Department uses surveillance to monitor the African-American people of West and East Baltimore that was used and tested on Palestinians in the West Bank. We also know too well the history of NYPD collaboration with the Israeli state, as they both share a common purpose in suppressing and demoralizing of an oppressed people. And there's one last thing I'd like to say about Korea. The United States should remember that in 1953, an army called the People's Liberation Army sent their ass back across the 38th parallel. So I really urge the United States to remember the history of Korea and the solidarity from the Chinese people in thwarting U.S. attacks on the peninsula.
Palestine. From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will
That is right, because you did free Lynn Stewart. And as we talk about organizations, I've been in and a part of the action of most of the organizations here. So brothers and sisters, we are here because you know what I know. And what I know is we in America are in trouble. Big, big trouble. The person in the White House, out of one side of their mouth, they shout war. And out of the other side of their mouth, they try to put people out of the army who believe in America and want to support it. And out of the middle of his mouth comes a reminder of what Muhammad Ali tried to teach us many, many years ago. I ain't got no trouble with nobody thousands of miles away. I have trouble with the war here that we must wage against racism, sexism, imperialism, against the poor. This is our war. And with what I see here today, we have the kernel of what it takes to have that victory. We have small victories, but we're going to have the big victory that people have been fighting for ever since that gentleman or that person Columbus came to these shores. While he oppressed, there were people fighting against oppression. They created beautiful words with no deeds. And as Lynn Stewart said, we're going to make those words real. Those words that they use in the Bill of Rights, mainly. So brothers and sisters, fight on. We will fight on. We will fight on together, and together we cannot lose. Thank you.
Is responsible for defending any activist or person who stands up to the United States. But as we know, the state, the FBI, the CIA, and all of these terrible government agencies want to shut us down. Time and time again, hundreds of activists have organized and fought against the crimes of imperialism. Whether defending neighborhoods from gentrification, or marching against war in Afghanistan, Iraq, or Palestine. When the government targets one of our people, we show up. When they target this crime, we show up. When they feel we have to show up. And when they throw them in jail for years, we will continue to show up. It's really the most dangerous thing you can do in the United States. Because the United States has a vested economic interest in invading Afghanistan, in invading Iraq, in keeping Palestine under the boot of Israel. The capitalists in this country do not want to see their pockets empty, so they want to stop anyone who stands to threaten their bank account. Years of war. We've been at war in Afghanistan for 16 years. I am 25, and that is the majority of my life. They found us running abroad for 16 years to only murder and cause genocide? Where can we be using that money? But for jobs, our health care, the poor, feeding the hungry, our education. Instead, our tax dollars are directly responsible for the thousands of Afghanistani people dead, a million of Iraqis dead, all the Pakistani fighters dead.
Say no to war, say no to Trump.
We cannot stand for this. We need to shut these wars down. So today, we have to demand an end to all U.S. wars. But more importantly, we have to demand that they free all political prisoners. These political prisoners have given their lives to the movement. And the government thinks that if they can lock one of us away, that we'll be scared. And that we can quietly go back to our corners. But we will not stand for that. So free all political prisoners, all anti-U.S. wars, and down with U.S. imperialism! U.S. imperialist!
Number one terrorist.
U.S. imperialist!
Number one terrorist.
U.S. imperialist!
Number one terrorist.
Woo! Thank you, Comrade Michaela. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for all the hard work that y'all have done for Asmia. Thank you. From Palestine to the Philippines.
Stop the U.S. war machine.
From Palestine to the Philippines.
Stop the U.S. war machine.
From Syria to the Philippines.
Stop the U.S. war machine.
All right. Next we have Comrade Shahid from Pakistan USA Freedom Forum. It is my pleasure to introduce. Please welcome Comrade.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. Today we are here. One of the biggest shameful acts in civilized society, the long lost war of United States against the poorest people. poorest people of Afghanistan. Same $170 million a day we're spending on a war. And it's not starting only 16 years before, no. We were in Vietnam, before we were in Korea, and before we dropped the atomic bomb on the human species. We are the only criminal nation in the world to use the atomic power against the humanity, against the human. It's a shame for us. At this moment, we have more gun shops than the coffee houses. Where? In the United States. And at this moment, they think that they can keep us busy, keeping us busy inside the war of the racism against immigrant, migrant. But we never forget what's the role of outside the boundaries of the United States, in Filipino, in Venezuela, in Cuba, in all South Spanish people, nice and poor people. Look what happened in Mexico. Look what happened in Puerto Rico. That's our colonies. Who's responsible? You wanna be a master, but you are the dirtiest master forever. History will remember you.
That's right. That's right.
Shame on you. Shame on United States. But this is our job as a student, as a young, as a woman, as an American, to stand against the war, stand for the respect and the humanity and the peace for everybody. And I'm asking every writer, every person who can speak, stand up, save the humanity. We have a 70 years old man. We don't expect that he's going to learn anything. Even he was called by any diplomat moron. Yet what he's doing, that's what he's doing. And he deserved this work. It's very shameful. The worst thing is this, that we have no hope that he will learn in 70 years old. But he's elected. What's our job? We like that we are here at this moment. Be on the road, raising your voice full of peace, and we are the savior of the peace in this whole world. We are the savior. We are the protector. Not the Pentagon, not the CIA, not the FBI. You cannot win the war using like terrorism, Islamic phobia, xenophobia, anti-immigrants, anti-migrants. This thing should be end very soon. Otherwise, this whole world will be in trouble. Thank you very much for everybody. UNAC, ISC, Workers' World Party, People's Assembly, and everybody who has a conscience in this town. We are proud of you. Let's walk, let's march for the peace for everybody, justice for all. Thank you.
When Afghanistan is under attack, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? When Syria is under attack, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Next, I would like to give a warm and militant welcome to Sarah Founders and the International Action Center. Give it up! Sisters and brothers, looking out at this crowd here, at all the many signs of all the many demands, we could ask ourselves, what is it that unites us? What is it that holds us together? This is really an effort to assert again and again that it's one war. It's one war. The war right here. The war right here with that racist scum in the White House and the racist forces that are mobilizing and the wars all over the world. And there is resistance everywhere in the world, and there's resistance right here. Millions of people. We need to recognize the Black Lives Matter movement.
We need to recognize those who were in the streets and shut down the highways last 2 days ago in St. Louis against the latest police murder. That's the everyday war that goes on. The prisons, the largest prison population in the world. And then there's a new war that's taken a new shape in Puerto Rico. Is that a natural disaster? No. A storm may come, but the whole population of Puerto Rico is still without electricity. Now that's an immediately solvable problem. Half the population doesn't have potable water. Their entire towns not yet heard from. Why is that? This is a small island, 100 miles by 40 miles, as the mayor of San Juan reminded Trump. And the U.S. brags that they have what they call a base in a box, thousands of them. Every one of these containers contains water filtration, generators, fuel, tarps, emergency housing. And yet somehow they can't figure out how to deliver that to every town in Puerto Rico. They could airdrop it with helicopters. Is that hard to do? But they can't figure out how to do it. They can only do it to build a military base for occupation. They got to send in the Marines, and it's not to give relief. It's for gentrification. It's to rip up people's homes. It's to build new resorts and spas. That's what they call disaster capitalism. They want to take advantage of the crises and still impose the debt. They're saying cancel the debt. Immediate, massive emergency aid to Puerto Rico, and end the wars right here at home. The wars have gone on far longer than 16 years. This country was founded on war, on enslavement, on genocide. The wars began with Christopher Columbus and the conquistadors. It's a system that feeds off of war, off of super profits, and never, ever considers people's needs. And this understanding increasingly unites us here and unites people around the world. There is a growing unity. When our message streams, when our message is on video and in photos, we're talking to the people of the whole world. And you know what? They understand. They get the translation right away. They see the flags, they see the images, and the drones. Every form of technology. Now, think about Afghanistan, 16 years of war. There's not one war the U.S. is engaged in that they can even claim they've won. They've had massive destruction, but they can't rebuild or get anything going. Why? There's no profit in it. There's only profit in this dying stage of capitalism, in this stage, in war, in more war, and in more cops, and in more prisons, and in more repression. And it's why we need more unity, an understanding that forges us together, where we say this is all one issue, one war, and we stand against it. And we stand with our sisters and brothers. We're building a unity in this action, and every time we stand up for each other, every time we say smash white supremacy, every time we say defend Black Lives Matter and defend our LGBTQ sisters and brothers, every time we take a step in building unity, we are a stronger force. And it's how we're going to do it step by step. And we're going to do it by saying no to every U.S. war, by saying no to every occupation, by saying freedom for every political prisoner, by saying abolish the police and abolish the prisons and the U.S. bases around the world. That's unity. That's unity. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
Hi everybody, my name is Nardin Kiswani. I'm from New York City Students for Justice in Palestine. And I'll also be emceeing the rally today. I'm not speaking, but I just want to make it clear that I'm up here emceeing and our organization is working on this behind the scenes to show support for all the struggles out here. So when I say this, I want you to repeat after me. Out of Syria, out of Iraq, out of Palestine, don't come back.
Out of Syria, out of Iraq, out of Palestine, don't come back.
Out of Syria, out of Iraq, out of Afghanistan, don't come back.
Out of Syria, out of Iraq, out of Afghanistan, don't come back.
I'm honored to introduce our next speaker, Margaret Kimberly from the Black Agenda Report. Please give it up. Oh, gotcha. I won't get on the step, so it's all right. Power to the people. Power to the people. I'm very proud to be here today representing Black Agenda Report and Black Alliance for Peace. We are here today because of the anniversary of the U.S. occupation of Afghanistan. This is also the anniversary of the beginning of the settler colonial state, which after 500 years continues its rapacious, its violent, its evil grip on the world. There's also an anniversary from 2 years ago when U.S. planes killed people in a hospital in Afghanistan. And that is an inevitable part of occupation. So here we are again in 2017, 16 years after the United States began occupying Afghanistan. And after all this time, I suppose this is going to be endless, and I'm noticing that the list of names gets longer and longer and longer of all the places, all the occupations, the invasions, the violence that we are protesting. And there's only one way out of this. We must stop supporting this political system, this terror, these interventions. These occupations are bipartisan. This is the third American president to occupy Afghanistan. And don't be fooled by Trump. Don't let his racism and his stupidity fool you. He may go to the United Nations and announce, I'm going to destroy North Korea. Obama was smart enough not to go to the UN and say, I'm going to destroy Libya, but he did it. So let's be clear. Our enemies, the enemies of life on this earth, the enemy of all humanity. Puerto Rico, I'm afraid that is the next New Orleans. That is my fear. Someone just said we're not going to let that happen. I hope that is true. So, I'm going to end now. We're supposed to be 2 minutes. So, power to the people. I will end the way I began. Power to all the people. Thank you so much.
I would imagine.
It's so that they can get them to work for $1 a day in prison. The 13th Amendment excludes people who are colonized land, founded on genocide and slavery. And it's about time that the working class and oppressed get it back. Take that shit. Shut this shit down. Thank you.
They say that the island may never come back. They say it might take 6 months for them to get the electricity back. They were hit with a number 4 hurricane, whatever it's called. Category 4 hurricane. But you know, Cuba was hit with a Category 5 and its electricity is already back. The Cuban government has said, we, the government and the people of Cuba, will repair everybody's house. We will make sure everybody has shelter. We will make sure everybody has food. And they have done that.
How can they do that and the United States not do that? It's because when Trump goes down there and he talks about the debt and he talks about the money that these Wall Street financiers are holding against Puerto Rico, he wants them, Puerto Ricans, to pay it back when they're in such dire straits. But in Cuba, they don't give a shit about that. What they give a shit about is the people of Cuba.
People in Palestine aren't viewed as terrorists when we know them to truly be revolutionary freedom fighters. From Palestine to Mexico, all the walls have got to go.
We are suffering from a colonial crisis. We have been the victims of America's capitalist imperialist agenda for 119 years. Brothers and sisters, the same forces that occupy Palestine, the same forces that occupy Haiti, the same forces that are pushing imperialism around the world are the same forces that repress my country. We have the same enemy. Our causes and movements may be different, but we have the same enemy. We need to unite. Right now in Puerto Rico, 80% of the people do not have electricity. 50% of the people cannot drink the water. FEMA is privatizing the donations that you have set and are trying to tax the Puerto Rican people for those donations. Tons of donations are staying in ports and airports as well, seaports and airports. Brothers and sisters, despite all of that, the Puerto Rican spirit to rebel, to build revolution is still alive. We are building work brigades. We are building collection collaboratives. We are doing everything we can. Brothers and sisters, we cannot free Puerto Rico by ourselves. We need you to join with us. You helped us free Oscar Lopez Rivera. You helped us end the bombing of Vieques. You have helped us free our political prisoners, and you have been the backbone of our solidarity here. I invite everyone here, join us on Saturday, November 4th, South Bronx Freedom March. We are marching for the freedom of Puerto Rico, the freedom of our still two Puerto Rican political prisoners, Ana Belén Montes and Nina Droz, who are both two sisters that are hellified in jail. The struggle did not end with Oscar. The struggle has not ended with this debt crisis. It is going to continue until we free Puerto Rico, until Puerto Rico is a free, sovereign, independent, socialist country. USA out of Puerto Rico. USA out of Puerto Rico. USA out of Puerto
Rico. Que no queremos los militares. Queremos paz. Queremos comida. Queremos seguridad. No necesitamos los militares en Puerto Rico para poner orden y para tener un control en contra del pueblo. El pueblo ahora mismo se está muriendo de hambre. No hay medicamentos, no hay comida. Y nos están poniendo militares para tener un control, cuando el mismo pueblo puede tener un control. ¿De qué vale que quiten por unos días la ley de Johnson para que tengamos libre comercio, si no pueden dejar de que otros países entren a Puerto Rico a auxiliar? Todo es militar, todo es una farsa y todo es una hipocresía. Necesitamos un Puerto Rico libre, necesitamos el mundo libre, en contra del capitalismo, en contra de la hipocresía. Necesitamos a nuestro país libre porque estamos en un punto estratégico en el mundo que ni Estados Unidos ni nadie quiere dejar. Nos quieren tener su cuidado a un pueblo que necesita, así que no a la guerra, no a los militares, no solamente en Puerto Rico, sino el mundo entero. Y que viva Puerto Rico libre, no a la colonia.